there. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop Podcast. Hope you're all having a great day. So today we're going to be talking about Ignite the Sun by Hanna Howard. It's a debut novel, and ultimately it was quite enjoyable. What I think is really good about this novel is it takes on a literal representation of the battle between light and darkness. And I thought that was really interesting because you have the queen of the land, and she is a witch, and well, she has shrouded the world in darkness, and she's also cast a spell over people. And I think it's really interesting to see this warped sense of darkness brought to life in this novel, because witches can only take their magic by eating the heart of an actual magical creature, but in doing so the magic becomes warped. She has taken the life of a sun child, which is what fire nymphs are, and in doing so she has the power, but it's absolutely corruption. I thought that was a really interesting aspect to the novel. I thought it was really quite unique as far as storytelling goes. It was quite imaginative and creative, and I do appreciate that Howard was able to do something like that with her storytelling. But what her and Syria represent are, this very literal fight between darkness and light, and that's really interesting to see this evolution and to see the story evolve this idea in a very physical way, because it takes it to a whole nother level. We all read these stories, darkness and light, darkness versus light, good versus evil. It's a core, it's a core element when it comes to storytelling. And when it comes to fantasy genre, there's always going to be darkness and light, this fight of good versus evil. That's just how it is. So I did like how this was a very literal representation of that. And what I also thought was imaginative was the way she brought fantasy creatures to life. Howard really did use her imagination to her fullest, I think, in this novel, and it really showcases a bright future for her, because there are fire nymphs, there are water nymphs, and there are earth nymphs, but there's also banshees and mages, and like I already said, witches. We already talked about witches. I want to talk about these other beings. Earth nymphs are elves, and they can control the earth, kind of like Poison Ivy does. And I thought that was really cool to see that in action. What I liked about the water nymphs are they can turn into mermaids. And Marcella, she's really cool as a water nymph, because what she can also do is she can take water and she can form an orb like in thin air, and then she'll sleep in it. I think that's so cool. I've never read that in my life. I thought it was very cool. It was very imaginative. It was very creative. It really does, again, showcase Howard's talent for storytelling and really bringing her imagination to life. And then the Banshee. I liked this new take on Banshees. I'm somewhat familiar with Banshee folklore, so I really liked how it was brought to life in this novel, how the banshees were given life. But most importantly, I thought the fire nymphs were very, very cool. I don't think I've ever seen a fire nymphs come to life in quite this manner before. They're always born at dawn, which is why they're called sun children. They thrive off of sunlight. That's where they get their energy from. The sunlight is, their element. But more than that, I love how they're always referring to her spots. They're referring to her freckles as spots. I thought it was so cool and unique. And the reason being is because I'm a huge nerd. So every time they said your spots, I'm just like, Chitara. Her description really reminded me of Chitara from classic Thundercats. I really do think she kind of grows into that character. If I do say so myself, I thought it was really well done. I really did like that a lot, actually. I thought it was really imaginative. I've never seen fire nymphs brought to life in quite this way. In fact, I think fire nymphs aren't really brought to life that often. I'm trying to think of the last time I read of something with a fire nymph in there, and I can't really. Unfortunately, I think the closest that comes is the Dragon Prince animated series with the fire elves. I thought they were cool, but I think that's about as close as I can get in remembering fire nymphs being brought to life. So I think it also showcases her imagination. I think it also showcases her creativity as far as storytelling goes. I really do think it was thoughtful. I really do think it was imaginative and thought-provoking, and I really did enjoy it, to be perfectly honest. It really was a good story. That being said, this isn't a novel that's completely perfect. It's a debut novel. It was really good. I will say this, I love the momentum, I love the pacing, I love the evolution of the story, and I loved Syria's development as a character, and I did enjoy her dynamics with her friends, but what I didn't like was Syria's initial tone in the story. She kind of acted like a spoiled princess, and she did fall into this chosen one trope. It did make it a little cliche. And I think I would have liked it better if Syria hadn't been the long-lost princess and had just been a regular sun child who has to rise to the occasion. I think I would have enjoyed that more, because at least it would have been a step away from the cliche, versus not only is she a sun child who is one of the few people who can destroy the queen, she is also the long-lost princess. I mean, that's a lot of cliches right there. I think I would have liked it better if she hadn't been the princess, if she was just a sun child, and that's it. I think it would have allowed the author to do a little bit more with her character, to give her a strong, humble beginning. Not saying that isn't a cliche either. I mean, just think of Clark Kent or Luke Skywalker. They're the chosen ones, and what are they? They start off as farm boys. So I guess the chosen one trope, it's just something you kind of just have to go with. Is it cliche? Yes, but it's one of those monumental, things that are in fantasy fiction. So it's kind of unavoidable, but I think I would have liked it more if it went with the farm boy route more than the princess route. I'm just saying. That's just my personal opinion on the matter. Now, ultimately, like I said, I did like her character development. She does grow into a strong, formidable character, and her evolution was thought out. Her evolution was well thought out. It does have room for improvement, but I think what was most off-putting was her initial tone of the storytelling. How she kind of acts like, oh, my life is ruined. It's just like, your life isn't the only one that's ruined here. Come on. And I do like how the water nymph slaps her. That's a great moment. If you read this novel for any reason, read it for that. She slaps her and says, get over yourself. This is bigger than you. So that I did appreciate. That is something I did appreciate. Because you don't normally see that in fiction. With the chosen one trope, everyone just kind of lets them get away with being a little bratty. In this novel, Howard didn't, and I did appreciate that. I think it does take it a step back from the cliche trope, because she doesn't allow that main character to be so self-involved. So ultimately, I think I'm going to give this book 3... No, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. It does have good momentum. It does have good pacing. Is it an absolutely gripping novel? No. I didn't find it boring, but it wasn't one of those novels that I had to read in one spot. You know, it was a novel where I was just like, oh, it's okay. I'll read some more tomorrow. It's no problem. It's a good story that I did enjoy reading, but it's not one that I had hooked. So I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. Yeah, 3.5 stars, because it wasn't absolutely 100% gripping for me. But I still enjoyed it. You know, I still do think it was a good story ultimately. So this was Ignite the Sun by Hanna Howard. I recommend purchasing the book off of bookshop.org because percentage of all book proceeds do go to supporting local booksellers. If money is too tight, check out the book from your local library. Libraries are a great resource for the community and definitely deserve our support. And I hope you'll support me by liking my podcast and subscribing to it. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.